Hey, Insanely Awesome Nation. It is Sunil Saxena coming to you live. Well, I guess not really live since you're probably watching this at some other time. But anyways, I'm coming to you from outside of Washington, D.C. in my home studio here. Today I want to talk to you about the word extraordinary. It's one of my favorite words to really dissect and think about, and hopefully it'll give you some insight into how to live an insanely awesome life. So the word extraordinary, if you really break it down, the Latin extra means outside of. And then of course, ordinary means something that's average that you see all the time. So it really means to be outside of ordinary. And I talked to my daughter about this, who's a singer. I think you may know if you've heard me talk, a singer-songwriter, and she actually wrote a song called Outside Ordinary. I think it's a great song. It's kind of in her archive. She's not getting it out to be produced right now, but I'm going to keep encouraging her to do because I think it's such a great concept. So really what it boils down to is that if you want to live an insanely awesome life, you have to be willing to be outside of ordinary. Now the problem, there's a number of issues and why people don't want to be outside of ordinary, extraordinary. Number one is that we are genetically programmed not to do this. Our Windows 10,000 BC operating system that our brain has programmed inside of us, it's 10,000 years old. It evolved at a time when being outside of ordinary could actually get you killed. Back then, we lived in small groups, usually well under 100 people, usually sometimes 10 people. And whoever was the leader, if you were to go outside of ordinary and do something that leader didn't like, that could either get you ostracized from the group or directly killed. And again, back then, if you were kicked out of the group, you probably would die because you couldn't live on yourself and didn't have really the resources. It's a lot, had a lot more meaning back then than not being with the cool kids, I guess, at school today. Because today it's like you hopefully won't die if that happens, but back then you literally could die. So the first thing is that we're genetically programmed. Evolutionary biology tells us do not be outside of ordinary. If you look at most people when they buy cars, they're going to be gray, white, tan, the standard colors. How many people do you see with a hot pink car or a loud color? Very, very few, if ever, because they don't want to be outside of ordinary. They're afraid of that, and that comes from our genetic programming. Number two is that our entire society is built on this concept, and our school system in particular. What our school system does is it pushes the underperforming kids to the middle and the overperforming kids to the middle as well. They don't want outliers. That's difficult to manage. They just don't want that. If you look up I think it's Ken Robbins I think it's Ken Robinson, and as of this video, it's the most watched TED Talk of all time, talks about this concept. He talks about, our school systems are killing creativity. He talks about it a little bit differently, but essentially it's the same concept of that we don't want creative kids. We don't want kids who are outside of ordinary. We want everybody to conform. And when you really look at organized society, that's what's in the best interest of organized society, because we want everybody to kind of follow the rules. We want them to drive in the right place. We want them to stop at the stop sign, look both ways before crossing the street. That's what keeps the society running well. But again, the problem is that kills innovation. It kills creativity. It kills you living an insanely awesome life. I don't know if you're guilty of this, but I know the neighborhood I live in, pretty much all the neighbors, is the keep up with the Joneses mentality. If that guy, did this, I'm going to do that. If this person did that, I'm going to do that. So, we all want to kind of fit in and be part of the club. I know in social situations, every time you meet a new group of people, you're kind of wanting to fit in. It's a natural instinct to say, I don't want to offend anybody. I want to kind of, I want to be liked by this group. And again, that's our programming coming out, because if we're not liked by the group, our brain is telling us we could die, although, obviously that's not the case in today's society. So it's very important, in my opinion, to strive to be extraordinary, to strive to be outside of ordinary, because that's what's going to give you the insanely awesome life. It's going to get these massive results that you want, that allow you to live the lifestyle you want. And you're going to have naysayers along the way. Trust me, it's going to happen. When you start being outside of ordinary, you're going to get haters. If you go out and paint your car hot pink, there's certain people who are going to hate you and say you're stupid and you should never do that. So again, I'm not recommending you do that, but I'm saying live your life, make that who you are, that you are going to be different than the next person. If you look at it, really, most people who have made tremendous wealth over history have done something that was outside of ordinary. at the time they started it, people were like, "You're crazy. What do you think?" You know, IKEA always comes to mind. You know, like a guy in Sweden who's sitting there thinking like he could like make this furniture and sell it worldwide. It's difficult to assemble, and he's going to make these huge, massive stores, and people are really going to you know, buy this in droves. I mean, if I was looking at that business plan, I'd probably be like, dude, you're crazy. Even Whole Foods, to be honest. Yet another grocery store? Do we really need another grocery store? They have thin margins. They're, you know, it's a commodity type of business. But he thought differently. You know, both these guys thought differently. And that's what, you know, has allowed them to be ultra successful and you know, basically, you know, household brand names. So again, it's a mindset shift. It's something that won't happen tomorrow. Just because you watch this video, you're not going to start being truly outside ordinary or extraordinary tomorrow. But over time, if you keep working on, that's going to become who you are. You're going to always look for those opportunities to be different. You're not going to be afraid of them. You're not going to run from them. You're actually going to run towards them. And you know, that's what's going to make you successful. So I would urge you to adopt this mindset, start working on it, you know, fall in love with this word extraordinary, because I did, and it always reminds me of, you know, what I'm striving to be. Because again, as human beings, we're hardwired to always revert back to being ordinary. So we have to always kind of work on this and keep pushing ourselves in that direction. So that's really all I have for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And as always, go out there, be insanely awesome, and I will see you in the next video.